Homeless in Butler, Volume 1. I'm surprised I didn't start this sooner when I was actually in the crisis center shelter. But here I am going to the warming center. Everything closes at 9. And me, someone with arthritis, has to stay outside for an hour in the cold. Granted, it's not as cold as it was last week, where it was in the single digits. But this is not good for someone with arthritis like mine, especially since I didn't have it treated for the longest time, and that made it worse. And there really needs to be something to fill in the gap between, what's available right now and people who can't find housing within a month's time, which is a tall order for anybody, especially if you have limited finances and no support system, or almost no support system. Family out of town and no vehicle and have disabilities. If you're waiting for a disability, you can only make so much money a month before they disqualify you. And had I known that, I would have tried to get on it a lot sooner by not working so damn hard to, make my health even worse, to the point where I would miss a lot of work. So they try to make it hard, and it's ridiculous. There needs to be something for people who are waiting for their disability benefits to start, because it's a 3 to 6 month wait at the bare minimum, and programs only let you stay for 30 days, give or take. And unless you kiss the right asses, you don't get any leeway. And I thought I was doing the right thing, not wasting my time going to places I knew I couldn't afford or couldn't get up into on my bad days, because they come regardless of how well I stay on my medication and not push myself. It's a very stressful time for people who aren't rich white men who are reasonably able-bodied. So, it's pretty hostile, and it's getting worse for people like me. And honestly, I just want some peace. But apparently, I'm not allowed to have that. Yeah, I could have it worse, but I have worked hard most of my life when I was able to. I have done things to help other people. Like, I've taken people in, I've provided food, shelter, a shoulder to cry on, all kinds of stuff. And when it's my turn to need help, the help is few and far between, or I'm made to feel guilty for needing it. I never once made anyone feel guilty for needing my help when I was the one providing it. And it would just be nice if some of my good karma would come back around, because I have done a lot for other people to the point of sabotaging my own health. And it's hard to believe I used to wipe asses for $9.50 an hour and pull long shifts while going to college and taking care of a verbally abusive mother. And by the way, my family gives me absolutely no credit for doing all that, because she would make up stories, and it wasn't entirely because of dementia. She was always verbally abusive, but the dementia made it worse. And of course, because she was coherent for the 5 or 10 minute talks they had. They didn't believe that there was anything wrong with her, even though me, working in assisted living, knew how to recognize dementia. Nobody wanted to believe me about her. So my family doesn't give a fuck if I die on the streets. I have tried asking them for help, and, I barely get a response. Barely any sympathy. And the ones who promised me a place to stay if I needed it went back on their word, even though I told them I would pay my rent and I would, have a job and all that stuff. They just had to give me a little bit of space in the house that I supposedly own a portion of, and nada. They acted like they never promised that whenever I went up for my birth mother's funeral. So, it's not my fault. I came into this world as a product of an affair. Don't hold that against me. I did nothing wrong. But I'm tired of feeling guilty for existing and needing help. I don't know how much longer I can do this. I'm really trying hard, but it wouldn't take much to say goodbye. So I'm going to head down to the warming shelter and stand outside with everybody else, and hopefully get some sleep, and maybe a miracle will happen tomorrow. I do have a GoFundMe, which I'll link in the comments. If you feel like donating, obviously you're not obligated, but I would appreciate any help, because the more I have set aside, the more I might be able to convince a landlord to give me an apartment without worrying about that I can't afford whatever for 3 months until I get my disability. But if I can pay, the 3 months up front, then I should be able to get an apartment, or get, a co-signer would help. But, people I know that could co-sign for me aren't even responding. So, maybe that'll change. So, whatever. I could really use some good energy sent my way. Well, good night.